Hello, I've just finished editing this video and I feel like I should warn you that it's quite an indulgent video. I've been careful so far. I've had this channel now for 6 months and I've been really careful to not really express my views very much. I have occasionally, I've given my opinion, for instance, on whether I think someone's a narcissist, and I've explained why I think that, but I haven't really expressed my personal views very much, apart from a tiny bit about the Ruse X. I did make a couple of videos where I was a bit more open about it, but I've intentionally done that because I haven't wanted to get in the way of the information that I want people to receive, that I want to help people with. I've kind of felt like if my views are mixed up in it, sometimes it might be harder to take it seriously. So there's been a lot of times where I felt like I really want to give my opinion on something, and so I've decided that I'm going to let myself do that in this video. And I'm just going to indulge myself and talk about beauty and just give some of my thoughts. It means it's going to be quite a rambling kind of video. I'm going to have edited it a bit less than other videos, so I might say, you know, a lot. And I'm just interested to see how it goes down, and if it kind of feels a bit irrelevant to what this channel's about. I mean, it's not irrelevant, the subject is relevant, but if hearing my opinion gets in the way a bit, maybe you could just let me know in the comments, and then I can sort of go back to the status quo again. And otherwise, I might just every now and again just indulge myself and put out a video where I give my opinion on things. Hello, I'm making this video in response to one of the comments under another video I posted. It was about it was called Weapons of a Narcissist, and it was part 2. And somebody had written under the video to ask me how she'd said that I don't when I wasn't wearing makeup and my hair was in a ponytail, and she wondered, how do you come across as calm and confident? And she was saying, she's from Eastern Europe, where people put a lot of effort, women put a lot of effort into their appearances. They're very focused on their Instagram image. They'll spend a lot of time working out what they're going to wear and all this kind of thing. And she said, how do you, it was funny, she said, how are you confident no matter what? Which I sort of took as a really polite way of saying, even when you look like that? It was funny. And I told her that I don't feel I looked good. I felt like I looked really bad in that video, and there are a few videos that I just hate watching. Sometimes I have to click on them if someone writes a comment that comes up and I want to see what they've said. I have to look at these videos, I have to look under the videos anyway. So it's not that I feel always really confident that I look amazing or anything, but it was more that I do wear some makeup, but I don't tend to wear much makeup because I don't think it looks right on me. It feels, I never got to that stage of, as you're growing up, I never reached that point of wearing loads of makeup, I almost never felt adult enough to do it. It just looks, I feel like I look like a clown if I put a lot of makeup on. So I just feel it doesn't work for me. I feel like it looks fake. But it doesn't mean that I always, sometimes I do feel like I don't look great at all. It doesn't mean that I always feel confident about how I look. But the reason I came across maybe confidently in that video is because I was focused on what I was talking about, and because I saw that, I think that viewers are coming to hear what I'm going to say. They're not interested in me and what I look like. And I'm not really focused on me, I'm talking about something that I want to, the point of the channel really is to help people. So I'm focused on what I'm saying and how I can try to help people. And I see myself as just the person who's sending this message rather than it being about me. I've started to bring in examples from my own life now, and I want to do that more because I don't want to only focus on murderers and really extreme narcissists. But I feel like this channel is not about me and what I look like, it's about what I'm saying. But it really brought up something in me that really made me think. I have some really nice neighbours. There's a lovely family from Bangladesh living next door to me. Sometimes they treat me to their Bangladeshi food, which is really good. And anyway, they have some kids. And one of them is an 8-year-old girl who, because I was travelling for a long time, when I had last seen her, she looked a lot younger. I saw her outside while I was locking my front door, and she said, "She's back," to her brother about me, and she waved, you know, I waved to her and she waved back. I had to walk past her, and when I got to her, I said to her, "You're so big now," because she was, not because she was fat, but because she was tall. You know, you can say that, I think, to an 8-year-old. You can kind of get away with saying that you're big. And, you know, and I said to her, "And you're still very pretty." And even as I said it, I thought, wow, I've just told that child how important it is what she looks like. And I'm sure she gets these messages from everywhere already at her age, that for a girl, looks really matter. If she'd been a boy, I wouldn't have said, "Oh, you look, you're still really good looking," you know, and that would have been a really weird thing to say. But anyway, so I wanted to talk about Brene, something that Brene Brown said. I listened to, she's got an excellent speech that she did, and I was listening to that. And in it, she said that for men, their biggest vulnerability is coming across as weak. You know, the worst thing that you can say to a man will be something that makes him look weak, which I thought was really sad, because vulnerability is a strength. And for women, it's all about what they look like. And, you know, if you tell a woman that she looks bad, that's kind of the worst thing you can say to a woman. And I just thought that's such a shame that that's the case, that everything, that our looks should be so important. It really made me think. And I had a comment on the same video that girl commented on. I had a comment from a troll that said that I was ugly. And it was interesting timing, because it had happened, I think it was just the day after I'd seen that speech by Brene Brown. So I'd already had quite a long think about it, and I'd thought about what I'd said to the little girl. And so when I saw that comment, I thought about how he, assuming it was a he, it may have been a she, but I thought about how that person, because another thing they said was how, you know, sometimes people just break up, it just doesn't work out. It was under my video about narcissists brainwashing you. Anyway, so it obviously hit a nerve with this person, you know. But when they said that I was ugly, I just kind of thought that I had this feeling that they thought that is gonna really hurt this person because I'm a woman. If I was a man, I don't know that he would have been as likely, or she would have been as likely to have said that. You know, because it wouldn't really matter as much. Or they wouldn't think that it would matter as much to that person. And And I did feel like I didn't look great in that video. So when I saw that comment, it didn't, I mean, it must have, because I was going to say it didn't hurt me. I mean, it must have done a bit. I must have felt a bit affected by it, but I think I thought that I looked really bad in that video anyway. And I just think that we all just look completely different depending on what the light's like, what the angle's like, what mood we're in makes a huge difference to how we look, you know, and so I thought, yeah, I look terrible, and so maybe if I thought I looked great and he said that, maybe then it would have affected me more, I don't know. But I think the key thing I thought really when I read that was just about how important this is, you know, that this person thought this is going to give this person a big emotional reaction, when really, when I'm making the videos, I get really I turn into a bit of a perfectionist when I'm editing. I tend to say "you know" a lot, and it really drives me crazy when I'm editing. I keep cutting out all the "you knows," and then it's cut a bit too much all over the place. But I'm very particular about the content and what I say in the videos, but not really about what I look like. So sometimes I do, you know, maybe I should be more worried about that. Maybe I should pay more attention to it. But I guess I just think that the video is mainly really about what I'm actually saying. And this person was not making a comment about what I was saying. It was just about what I look like. I thought about his comment and thought, well, I felt ugly. And then I thought, I wonder, in quite a strangely objective way actually, I thought, I wonder what I am, because sometimes I look better than other times. So which one should I relate to? Am I the me when I look bad, or am I the me where I look better? I've already been given the message by the media that I'm not really attractive. I couldn't call myself really attractive because really attractive has already been explained to us. You know, what a really attractive woman looks like. So I don't look like her. So, you know, I don't look like any of those examples. So that means that I can't be really attractive. What if somebody thinks I'm attractive and then somebody else thinks I'm really ugly? Then what am I? Does that mean is it in the eye of the beholder? Because it doesn't seem to be in the media. There seems to be a sort of set sort of criteria for being really attractive. And if sometimes I think I look okay, does that mean that I'm a medium person, or does that mean that I'm attractive, or does that mean that I'm just not really ugly? I'm just passable sometimes, you know. And if you are attractive or if you're not attractive, what does that mean about you? Where's your value? You know, if a modelling agency didn't laugh and they wanted you on the front cover, does that mean that your value shot up and suddenly you're 10 out of 10 important? Female celebrities, we're always hearing about what they're wearing. You know, for instance, Kate Middleton, she'll be doing some kind of really interesting work with a charity, but we'll hear about we'll see a photo of her, and then we might hear about where she bought her dress, and we don't really necessarily hear much about what she actually did. There seems to be a sort of imbalance between what she was wearing, or how she looked, and all these photos of her. We don't see as many photos of Prince William. It's more her and how she's looking. And the same with Meghan Markle. We often see what she's looking like, but we don't really hear that much about what they're actually doing. You know, they perform a very useful role. With women, we'll see, I think it used to be worse maybe than it is now, but you know, you'll see sometimes a close-up of their leg with a circle around the cellulite. or how much weight they've lost. That's a big thing. You know, oh, she's lost all of this weight. And it's always about how they look. And you don't really get to, some of these people who are in the limelight there's a really good opportunity for them to actually be able to say things that might make a difference to people. And sometimes I wonder if they are doing this, but we just don't know about it because everyone's too busy telling us what they're wearing, where they got it from, and how much weight they've lost. If aliens came down from, this is probably going to sound really weird, but if aliens came down from space and saw the way that we obsess about how we look, I think they would think this is ridiculous. You know, if you think about a human skeleton, how big is the nose bone? Where are the cheekbones? What does the chin bone look like? To think that we put so much importance on these different things, and yet what's going on in the brain is so often just completely ignored when it comes to a woman. It's absolutely crazy, isn't it? And regardless of where someone's cheekbones and eye sockets are, they've got an amazing body that can, you know, if they're lucky, it can walk, it can run, climb, swim. We can have, as women, we can have children again if we're lucky. We can just do incredible things with our bodies and our minds and our brains, and yet there's so much focus on the exact placing of different cartilage. Some of the photos that people take of themselves, you know, these selfies where people pout. When I guess this is showing my age, but when I was growing up, before there were selfies, when we had cameras instead of phones, we would, whenever we were in a photo, we would grin. That was just what you did, you know. And so when these selfies first started coming out, I couldn't believe that the friends of these people weren't laughing at them for pouting. It just seemed like such a joke. But so many people do it now. So many people are trying to look like miserable models and trying to just become these perfect looking people. And we're all going to lose our looks. We're just going to keep going downhill after about, I don't know, late 20s really, onwards. We just go downhill. We start to get lines, our faces start to sag, and so on. And what does that mean? What does that mean about our value? Does that mean that we lose value and we just become worth less and less because of that? Because if that's true, then regardless of what our brain's doing, and regardless of how wise we might become from all of our experiences, we're actually just becoming pointless people by the time we look, as society would call it, ugly. We might as well just all kill ourselves at 30 if that was the case, you know, mightn't we? What's the point if we're just going to lose value and everyone's just going to think less of us? Well, what's the point? People who get really obsessed with their looks, this is something that people with histrionic personality disorder, I'll talk more about that disorder in another video, but they're very obsessed with how they look, and place a lot of importance on that, more than what I'm talking about. But people who do that just leave themselves out of the picture. So it's a very literal mask, isn't it? I've talked about the masks of a narcissist, but when what you look like becomes everything to you, then really your face and your hair and whatever other attributes you have become who you are. And that just doesn't make any sense, really, does it? Because you are the same person as you were when you looked completely different when you were 2. It was still you. You know, when you were 6, when you were 10, your body and your face and your hair and all of this was just different, wasn't it? But obviously we're still the same person. So if you capture yourself in a time and think that that is who I am, then you're just living in an illusion, because you think that your face is who you are. And people do that. People think everyone's face represents who they are. So if somebody's face is burnt really badly, for instance, people might look away, or they might react differently towards them. They don't feel comfortable necessarily talking to them. And part of that might be because they feel really bad for the person, and they feel like, oh, it must be so terrible if your face looks like that. But I think also it's because they see the person as a completely different person from if their face wasn't burnt, if they were really attractive looking. And I remember when I was 20, in my early 20s, I think I was 21. When I was 21, I hit my head on a bottle of pickled onions. I had, in the flat I was living in Sydney at the time, I'd been eating these pickled onions and had them in a jar. I was addicted to them. And I was wearing socks on a wooden floor, and I'd skidded by mistake and fallen and hit my head directly on this glass jar. I didn't actually break the glass, but the impact caused a scar that I still have here somewhere. I can't remember which side. But at the time it happened, it was... you know, it was just terrible. I had blood everywhere. It's a point where lots of blood comes out. And then I had stitches put in by the doctor, but they were black stitches. So I looked like Frankenstein. You know, my eye became massive, just absolutely bulged full. And I had this black, you know, stitching here. And people would look at me from the other side of a street that was a really big road with, I think, 4 lanes in it. People would still look at me from the other side. And I remember thinking, but I am exactly the same as before this happened. And yet people are reacting to me in a completely different way now. But whatever we look like has absolutely nothing to do with everything else about us. It's literally just where our facial features are placed, you know, or what colour our hair is or whatever. And I think it can be easy to forget that, because we're permanently sent this message that what we look like is everything. And once you get wrapped up in that, getting older becomes really depressing, doesn't it? Because your value drops, and you just become less relevant if you believe in this illusion. But life is so short. We don't have much time here, and we've got all of these amazing gifts. You know, we've got so much that we're able to do, so many new exciting thoughts that we can have, and so many things we can imagine, and so many connections we can make with other people as well. We've got all of this going on, and to just be preoccupied with one thing that doesn't come into any of these things, that's just not real, is just such a shame. I mean, I don't know if... I guess some people probably worry about what their hands look like, but I don't think it's particularly common to do that. So I guess we could use that as an example. You know, imagine if what your hand looked like was the most important thing in life, and everyone who met you would look at your hand and check, what do they think of the way your hand looks before they spoke to you. And then they'd have expectations of what you're going to be like as a person, depending on what your hand looked like. That's how ridiculous it is. So I'm going to leave it here. This has been a bit of a rant. And if you haven't subscribed, please subscribe, and I'll see you in the next video.